Today's episode of the Deep Fried Anything podcast is brought to you by Weirdest Apparel, a streetwear brand born from survival, rebellion, and curious creativity, designing sacred threads for strange times. Apparel by Riley Poor that speaks to rebels, mystics, misfits, and visionaries. Every Weirdest piece is printed specifically for you in order to minimize waste and avoid overproduction, allowing Weirdest Apparel to focus on quality, intentionality, and sustainability. So go support mindful streetwear from Weirdest Apparel at www.weirdest.shop. That's www.weirdest.shop. Don't indecently expose yourself to the public at large. Put on some clothes, weirdo, and make it Weirdest Apparel at www.weirdest.shop. Hey there, listener. Can I talk a doodle-doo to you about fried chicken? 'Cause Cookies Country Fried Chicken is deliverancing the most delicious fried chicken in the Ballard and Pioneer Square neighborhoods of Seattle, Washington. You can dress that chicken with house-made sauces nicely, or do that chicken spicy with 4 levels of heat. Dunk in the mud, cayenne, habanero, and ghost pepper for all you spooks. This is finger-licking, ass-kicking chicken, seasoned to perfection. So pair it with the perfect side: tangy slaw, mashing taters, mac and cheese, or the carnival corn elote. Elote, you say? I might have to elope with one of these feathered freaks. Bring your tenderoni in for some tendies, or the farmer's favorite, bone-in style, or stay in and shuck down a chicky sandwich by ordering online at cookiescountrychicken.com. That's cookiescountrychicken.com. Don't be a chicken shit. Try Cookies Country Fried Chicken today. We edit all the naughty stuff out on this podcast.
Oh, shit, say it again.
Yeah. Get 'em. Sick dudes. Well, welcome back to the Deep Fried Anything podcast. I'm your host, Kirk Huffman. I'm here with my 2 peas in a podcast, our own Alexander Supertramp, and Alaskan adventurer, Eric Hawk.
Well, I guess we're throwing horns.
Yeah. Ew! And the Deep Fried Anything podcast, Big Kahuna. Danny Bradford.
Turn that into a GIF.
Hell yeah, dude. We are back for part 4 of our series on Lou Pearlman and the golden era of boy bands. You guys feeling good about our main character, Lou Pearlman, at this point?
I think Fanny feels great about our main character, Lou Pearlman.
Yeah.
Big fan.
He made something from nothing.
Oh, well, yeah. We will see. We will see, buddy. Before we jump into episode 4, and apparently what is kind of becoming a routine for this podcast, I got to make some corrections from our last episode. I had described Lou's...
Did the Pearlman people get a hold of you?
Oh, yeah, dude, they're on my ass. Actually, when I had sent you guys that photo of Lou Pearlman in high school, and I found that on the Backstreet Boys fan page Reddit.
What?
And Fanny, you think Eric and I are being a little harsh with just the describing the physical appearance of Lou Pearlman, but that Reddit thread was brutal, like in terms of like what they were calling Lou Pearlman. Some of the stuff I can't even say on this fucking podcast.
Podcast.
So yeah, we have been pretty cool to our boy Lou thus far. But I described his first residency outside of his parents' one-bedroom Mitchell Gardens apartment, which was his condo at the 13-acre Bay Club in Queens, New York, as akin to the production design and set decor of Patrick Bateman's apartment in American Psycho. But Lou Pearlman has no taste. And metaphorically, I think the Patrick Bateman comparison works in that, like, Lou's things are a materialist, like, self-extension of, like, his own inadequacies. But the Bay Club, aesthetically and visually, is more like the production design and set decor of the homes in The Sopranos. And when I looked it up, the set designers for the show called that New Jersey elegant, which meant there's like
a lot of columns,
gaudy mauves, columns, oversized tiles, polished woods.
Gaudy mauves?
That was a description.
Like the color mauve?
From the set designer.
Gaudy
beige. Mauves, yep. Heavy drapes and balances.
Goldenrod.
Yep. Yeah. Mirrors and spaces for seemingly no reason.
Gaudy mauves.
Yeah. Oversized chairs for no reason.
A lot of marbleized shit.
Yeah. And I also described the Lipo Center, which you guys visited in Hong Kong, as Blade Runner-like, which was kind of, made sense. But then I just said it was a pyramid. And then I realized I was just thinking about Blade Runner. So the Lipo Center, which when I sent a picture to Eric and Thani in the group text, Thani said that, oh yeah, I peed in, on, and at that building. The Lipo Center actually looks like it's a big glass building that has protruding sections, and the structure kind of looks like it's like morphing into like a transformer robot, like midway or something like that. But anyways.
It's very just and fair and balanced that you're doing these corrections now.
Totally. I just wanted to
you don't want to visually mislead
I don't want
people.
someone to write a dissertation and quote this podcast and then fail because we weren't accurate. But so, again, thanks for giving Thani a passport so he could pee all over the world.
Yeah, buddy.
I take my pee with me.
On our last episode, Eric had asked a really good question. Was Lou influenced by or inspired by Howard Hughes? I thought that was pretty deserving of a follow-up. Because in the research that I quickly did between last episode and now, there weren't any like direct quotes from Lou or his friends in regards to like paranoid American business magnate known as Howard Hughes. Oh, germaphobe too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
OCD, germaphobe, Kleenex boxes on the toes.
Yes. But there was a quote from a Pearlman associate named Michael Johnson who described Lou as a mix of Clive Davis, Bernie Madoff, who made off with a lot of money.
That's how you remember that guy's name.
Frank Abagnale Jr., who wrote all those fake checks in like the late 80s.
Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah, and Howard Hughes.
So a couple of Leonardo DiCaprio roles.
There you go. Yeah. So well done, Eric. Sniff that one out like a little pooch.
It was right there.
You
little pooch.
Yeah, you little pooch. Yeah. There was also a curiosity surrounding the logging balloons and how Lou concocted this idea of fabricating an operational blimp from the skeleton of such a craft. I did some extra research on logging balloons and shit got wild, so I couldn't start this episode without following up on this. So real quick, first company to ever use balloons in industrial logging were the Swedes. But by the early 60s, the Bohemia Logging Company of Oregon, which is such an Oregon name, it was like, yeah, man,
we're a little different.
Logging, dude. Grooving out and logging, man. Began using half helium-filled balloons in logging operations at the behest of company vice president Fay Stewart.
Half helium, half what?
I don't know. That's in all the descriptions. It was talking about like these so maybe they're not like blowing them up
like a half inflated.
Yes,
to create a divot.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
We do things a little different at the Oregon Bohemia Logging Company.
Yeah. The logging balloons were nicknamed balloon doggles, if that gets you any,
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. And so it was at this time...
I wouldn't have asked about the half-inflated thing if I knew they were called balloon doggles.
I should have mentioned that first. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these balloon doggles in the mid-'60s that Fay Stewart began to incorporate with logging in Oregon, she actually contacted Goodyear Aerospace. Boop, 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 boop. At the same time that Lou and his buddies are where? Hanging out at the Goodyear fucking blimp in Queens.
Insane.
Yeah, insane. It's completely conceivable that this is where Lou would become familiar with the logging balloon, because it was a big. Goodyear was like, oh, this is actually a great idea. This is a whole new way for us to incorporate what we do.
We're really entering the chapter of this podcast where it's Charlie Day with all the stuff on the walls with the strings tied to the things.
It's insane because we've been texting each other a bunch of other stuff, which we'll get to in this episode. Stewart and Goodyear began working on designing V-shaped logging balloons, the ones that would be mistaken for UFOs, throughout the 70s and 80s. And soon Goodyear and Stewart created a subsidiary company to manufacture and market these balloons. Subsequently, it led to a surge in research funding from the National Forest Service to develop aerial logging systems. And in memory of Eric's grandfather, who famously said, "You'll never catch me in one of these whirlybirds," I, and the internet at large, I couldn't find anything that wouldn't talk about this fucking shit. I have to bring up these logging systems called the Piasecki Helostat. And you guys, I can see on your faces, are asking me,
well, what the fuck is a Piasecki Helostat?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, Eric, because the Piasecki Helostat was first patented by Frank Piasecki in 1961. In essence, it is a blimp with steel girders attached that run perpendicular to the blimp. Secured to the middle of these steel girders are landing wheels, and at each end is a whirlybird.
No shit.
A helicopter, yeah. A total of 4 separate helicopters. So yeah, to the blimp, right? So the blimp,
sure,
and the iron rods.
Yeah.
A total of 4 helicopters with 4 different pilots
is
inside.
Is this dirigible bilaterally symmetrical?
That's exactly. Yes.
I just wanted to say that.
No, you're so smart, Eric Hawk.
Shut the fuck up.
That's exactly what it is. These 4 helicopters with 4 different pilots inside were attached to steel girders attached to the frame of the blimp's balloon. Each helicopter operated separately, but were interconnected with a master controller in the middle underneath the blimp that established pitch, thrust, and vectors of lift, propulsion, trim, and control to the rest of the craft, which also included rudders on the tail of the blimp.
Fail-safe.
Yeah, yes, dude. There's photos of this thing. It looks insane. And granted, from just looking at a photo of it, you're like, oh yeah, of course that thing could pick up a bunch of logs and move them, a good amount of...
I mean, it just sounds like a drone.
It's like a fucking massive drone. That's exactly, dude.
Are the helicopters
the
helicopters going the whole time, or
Yes, there's 4 separately piloted helicopters, and then in the middle there's basically from what it sounded like, they're sending data to a master control panel that someone operates in the middle carriage of the blimp to kind of just establish if wind comes from a different direction, they can adjust, et cetera, with the rudders on the tail, and how much force from each helicopter to get it to go where they need it to go.
Jesus Christo.
Crazy. So in theory, the aircraft was capable of lifting 25 tons of timber
as
far as 5 miles in roadless areas of Oregon, Washington, and Alaska. And soon the U.S. Forest Service earmarked millions of dollars to develop Piasecki's idea. It took nearly 20 years from patent to production, but quickly the budget for the craft ballooned.
Hey.
You guys see what I did there? Smash! From $6.7 million to $32 million. And with construction falling behind, the FAA, the Navy, and NASA all criticized the project. And in 1982, when engineers remarked that Piasecki was still using slide rule engineering when the rest of the airship industry had moved on to building airships with computers, one naval engineer said, quote, "You just don't design an aircraft quickly that way." And in a few years later, in 86, a test run of the massive ship was launched. Get this shit, bro. On the same Lakehurst, New Jersey airfield where the Hindenburg crashed in 1937.
I was just going to make a Hindenburg joke.
The Piasecki Helostat hovered 30 feet off the ground to test the craft's control in crosswinds. But when it landed and was being moored, a wind gust blew the airship across the tarmac in a phenomenon called wheel shimmy. Eric, can you describe what wheel shimmy?
Sort of a buffeting out of control thing. It's what happened to Galloping Gertie, the Comaneras Bridge, where you get this harmonic motion that feeds upon itself, and then the slight motions that happen get worse and worse.
Yes, and the thing that they talked about, at least in the descriptions that I read, was the harmonic element, because that's extremely dangerous when your metal starts making a tone while it's shaking.
Transverse harmonic motion is what that would be. It's not longitudinal, it's transverse. It's the
This guy, he's the brain of the operation. Yeah, you're fine. The wheel shimmy put the entire craft in resonance and dynamically amplified the load of the airship's structure, causing the right back helicopter to fail and the craft to collapse on itself in a burning heap, ending Piaseki's dream and ending the life of one of the 5 crew members of the heli staff. And I feel like this story just says so much about why Lou thought the fabricated logging blimp for Jordache was brilliant. Because this is the exact same time in the 1980s. There's another fucking nutball in New Jersey named Piasecki, miles from Pearlman, selling investors on his own bullshit flight of fancy.
I mean, the Piasecki design's at least like bitchin'.
It looks cool. It's not what did Lou's buddies call it? Like a floating turd. So,
Yeah, sure.
Which was the Jordache blimp.
I love the engineers. Like, you just don't build a airship quickly with a slide rule. You don't build a 57 Chevy Bel Air with a fucking computer, you dick.
Yeah, I was looking up slide rule stuff, and it was from what it was describing, it was like also a highly calculated analog method of building things. So I was like, oh, these guys could duke it out later.
Hell yeah.
But you guys, bullshit flights of fancy. Fancy flights are where we're headed, gang, in episode 4 of our series on Lou Pearlman and the golden era of boy bands. Let's rock. I've had an espresso martini. We're ready to go. Aren't we, guys?
I'm ready to go.
We got 10-hour energy between our 2 5-hour energies.
Woo! All right, well, here we go. It's 1989. Lou was renting out charter flights on his leased Learjet to the rich and famous, including, of course, his cousin Art Garfunkel, as well as larger-than-life rock and pop stars like Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson.
Say.
Yeah. We were sending each other the Say video. Real quick, segue. I don't know if anybody's seen that. I was going to do like a Girl Is Mine joke reference thing. The girl is mine, Michael. Hey. But then I realized, oh yeah, they did another song together on Paul's record, Say. We looked up the music video. It's batshit crazy. Go ahead and look it up on YouTube. Paul is
Do that to your algorithm.
Yeah, do that to your algorithm. Paul is a traveling, like, Mac and Jack's ale snake oil salesman / vaudevillian performer who rolls into town, takes money snake selling Mac and Jack's, and then uses that money to then donate to an orphanage. But on the way in the woods, they just find Michael Jackson, and it's Paul and Linda, and he just hops along like I described in the text, like they're minstrel. They do a vaudevillian show together. There's one scene where all of a sudden Paul pops out of a bathroom and he and Michael Jackson are shaving like they both just fucked Linda McCartney. And then she looks at both of them and smiles with a guitar in her hands. It's fucking insane. Anyways, Say video. Check it out.
It's like reverse Jolston kind of. It's bananas.
It's like Robert Zemeckis directing Sinners. It's fucking insane. I don't know what the fuck we watched, but it was awesome because it definitely made for like a few hours of like good group text.
For sure.
But one client that Lou had never heard of, called New Kids on the Block, had also booked his $250,000 a month plane and paid Pearlman in a brown paper bag of cash. And it was at this moment that Lou saw his past and future collide.
Best way to get cash.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In a eureka moment. It would floor the decisions he made for the rest of his life. Now, throughout Lou's various helicopter, jet, and airship ventures, he would tell his associates that he was still a rock and roller at heart. And Pearlman had throughout the 70s kept up his guitar studies and the occasional performance with other musicians under the band name Flyer. But by 1981, true to Lou's form as an entrepreneur, he had resigned from playing live gigs with the band himself and began booking gigs and managing a rotating roster of studio and gig musicians from Queens, including vocalist Jerry Blender and, well, it says Willie Colon. I'm assuming it may be Willie Colon, like he's maybe like Hispanic, but if it's just a white guy named Willie Colon, I'm not a huge
That's a
stage
wild
name guy, but maybe Willie Colon. You might want Willie Way, Willie Wonder.
Yeah.
There's a dude, Willie Full Nelson, like
Willie Wonderful.
Willie Wonderful. Willie Colon. Change that, buddy. So anyways, Pearlman would also drive Flyer's van and gear from show to show, which I think Danny brought up in one of our last episodes, because Pearlman talked about it in Bands, Brands, and Billions.
No.
Oh, I thought you were talking about, he was like, he started driving them from gig to gig because he was just a do-gooder. But anyways.
No.
Okay. Well, Pearlman would also drive Flyer's van.
He's a do-grader.
Do-grader. He's just a fucking control freak.
Also, you know what else comes in a brown paper bag and is worth its weight in gold? Yeah.
What?
Cookies Country Chicken.
Let's go. We want to thank our sponsor, Cookies Country Fried Chicken. Danny's actually smashing this hot honey sandwich. Was one of their newer sandwiches, and it's so fucking good.
Insane.
So yeah, we want to thank them. They got a new Ballard location, and then we picked this stuff up from the Pioneer Square location. Shout out, Cookies Country Chicken.
Chew it on the mic.
So as Pearlman's driving this van and gear from show to show, he promised the group members immediate fame and fortune. And in 1983, Flyer would play a legendary show at Long Island venue My Father's Place, where the line to get in had formed hours before doors and stretched around the building, and by set time, the band was coaxed on stage by chants of Flyer, Flyer, Flyer.
I'd join you, but I got chicken in my mouth.
It's all good, and you're a spicy boy. Lou, who had arrived to the show in a limo, spent the evening playing up his role as music manager mogul-to-be, and after a raucous live Flyer set, Pearlman told the band members, quote, "Hey, get your passports ready, because we're going to Europe."
Wow.
Which, as we've talked about, of course, taking bands to Europe is definitely this guy's fucking fetish, so... Lou further told the group that he'd negotiated a $250,000 deal.
Fetish?
Yeah, he's got a fetish about Europe. He's got this, I think what's going on in Europe. He negotiated a $250,000 deal with Columbia Records, and he told Flyer that he would additionally pledge $72 million of his own assets towards Flyer, telling them, quote, "I want a part of my own group that I want to be a part of. And if you're a part of this family here, I'll promote it." And this is like one of the first instances that you read about, and this will become a general theme of Lou speak, is that he calls everybody family. Like he uses this like light mob speak to kind of, "you're my family," you know? This is one of the first instances of hearing it. But of course, no record deal came, and no tour ever materialized for Flyer, and Lou disappeared from managing them as well. The members found out pretty quickly after Pearlman split that Lou himself had spooked any label interest with his outsized persona and need to control the band's business affairs. And over a decade later, like the rest of the world, the members of Flyer would watch the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC soar to success and started jokingly referring to themselves as Lou Pearlman's first boy band, as they too were promised a European launch, a record deal, fortune, and fame. And for years during that golden era of boy bands, the core members of Flyer would send Lou songs that they'd written using a special code that Pearlman had given them in the hopes that they could make some royalties if any of their songs they wrote wound up getting recorded by any of Lou's boy band groups. And in a 2005 interview with Flyer, they said, "Naturally, there's a part of us that says, you know, why? Why didn't it happen 20 years ago when we had our shot?"
Do we know what Flyer sounds like?
It's like waka chicka waka chicka, like pop song disco era.
Oh, okay, cool.
Remember, yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if the sound ever really morphed. But yeah,
that's what I'm trying to think. It's just like these sort of,
it's like Long Island
like
waka chicka,
Guido,
waka chicka,
Jersey guys, like right before grunge happens.
Yeah.
Like,
well, this is like 79, 80, 81, maybe 81 at the very latest.
Totally. You had mentioned 89 earlier, so I was trying to like imagine these people existing in this like...
No, totally. I guess that's true. The Flyer thing does like probably tail out in like the mid to late 80s, but yeah. Because remember, Lou, starts with them late high school into his early college days, and then becomes the manager and starts assembling session musicians around the whole thing. You know?
Hell yeah.
And then he left the door open for them to write for Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, is what you just said?
Yeah, but not a single song of theirs ever like.
Yeah, but that's on them.
I mean, if it's on Lou, NSYNC made a disco record, that'd go hard as hell.
So here was Pearlman, who had a music group of his own in the past, Flyer, and he had kept ahead of trends in the entertainment business, suddenly asking himself with his Learjet how this startup pop act of teenagers, the new kids on the block, could afford one of his planes. And after asking around, Lou found out that NKOTB were the creation of our buddy Maurice Starr,
Yo.
our M. Bison of the music industry.
Yes, Blanca. Electrifying performance. The studio intern Marcus will be back with a dozen live chickens for lunch. Take 5.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. And I also looked up that M. Bison's because I had to double check. M. Bison uses psycho power to basically, and I was like, yeah, that's Maurice Starr, dude. Psycho power.
Who played M. Bison in the Kylie Minogue and Jean-Claude Van
Raul
Damme?
Julia.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was like his last one.
Whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah, super cool.
It wasn't. It wasn't cool at all.
Dude, hold up. Well, if Rachel was here, she'd fight you. She gets really amped up about the Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 2 movies from that era. So, yeah, you can duke it out with her later.
They were both really bad.
Oh, dude, there's so much cocaine in that
Don't,
set.
don't bring this up in front of Rachel. She will
Call her right now.
She will get over here and scorpion you. So at that time, NKOTB were raking in $200 million in concert sales and an additional $800 million in merchandising revenue. And the light bulb above Pearlman's head switched on, and he said to himself, "Hey, I could do that too." Interestingly, this mythical moment that Lou would repeat over and over for years to come of new kids booking a Transcon Learjet and paying in a bag full of cash could honestly only be recalled by Lou. And in fact, Jordan Knight, who would later put out a record with Transcontinental Records with the smash hit Give It To You, which we've talked about because Stanley was like, who's this guy giving it to everybody? Jordan Knight himself doesn't talk about having anything to do with Pearlman at all. And additionally, Maurice Starr has been quoted as saying, "I don't remember seeing Lou Pearlman one day in my life. And with New Kids on the Block, I really don't."
Less than nothing.
Yeah. At some point, it'd be really cool to get some verification on this because this is like one thing that's like, Lou is very adamant about, no, they paid me in cash, they used my Learjet, and this is where I was like, hey, boy bands, I can this is my new thing. However,
they got sack money.
Okay.
yeah, dude.
So instead of getting the idea from a boy band, he just came up with it himself then. Even better guy now.
I'm trying to understand your angle, and it's really, I was going to surprise you, but I bought you a copy of The Hit Charade by Tyler Gray because it was like $3 from Goodwill.
You didn't have to say the price.
And well, it was only $3 from Goodwill, and
So if it had been 20, you wouldn't have bought it for me?
Yeah, the
I
sticker's
would have
still gonna be
hesitated
on
until
it.
maybe the end of the series. Yeah. But you gotta. Yeah, I'm actually really curious to read Brands, Bands, and Billions because none of this shit makes any sense when I'm like doing the actual research. So, however history happened though.
Louis makes it all make sense.
Oh boy.
And he lets you know how you can do it too.
Your boy. However this history happened though, in reality, it was around this time that Lou was beginning to lose any real interest in planes and blimps. Remember, Lou stole this whole infatuation with blimps from Alan Gross, as Stanley refers to him. And from Gross's point of view later, as we will see, Gross is the man who, his thing is you do not fuck with blimps. You fuck with blimps, you fuck with Alan Gross. So we'll see how this gets fucking wild then. But despite Lou's wavering interest, Pearlman was still needing to keep his airborne operations afloat, as Airship International had actually posted profits in 1989. But soon after, the company nosedived into a death spiral and lost $4.5 million in 1990 and another $4.5 million in 1991. All while the major shareholder in Lou's company, our British friend Julian Bencher, simultaneously took advantage of Lou's losses by grabbing up portions of Pearlman's neglected operations at bargain prices to set himself up to legitimately make millions under Lou's nose, as Bencher had an inside line, seeing as he was landlord, again, of Airship Industries, which is the Australian company and British company, not Lou's company. He struck a deal with electric giant Westinghouse and an airship gondola manufacturer named Slingsby in order to access the remaining assets and the leftover blimp components of Airship Industries. That's the British Australian company. While he also locked in low rates to purchase high-end Slingsby gondolas. So that's a lot. So I just wanted to quick refresher because this is what I'm talking about.
Good gondola company name.
For sure. And this is also where
Slingsby. Yeah.
Oi. And this is also where just like I feel like Julian Bencher, like I was saying, he's like he takes advantage of Lou's bad business at every turn and angle and makes it work for himself. He's brilliant. So
he's kind of short selling him along the way. He's like banking on his bad.
Again, this is why I think it's so interesting that Bencher hasn't even come up in Lou's book because
he's a little bitch.
Bencher the bitch is like literally financing all of Pearlman's fucking shit. Like in all the research from everybody else, like, yeah, no, Julian's like keeping Lou afloat.
Well, in the book, he's teaching you how to do it, and he knows not everybody's gonna have that piece of shit in their life to, I guess, bankroll things at certain points, fuck you over at other points. He's teaching you how to do it on your own. The way he did it.
But he's not on his own. So this is so.
It started with newspapers.
Yeah, it started with this lemonade. Started with this piss lemonade. But yeah, so Bencher the bitch. Like basically, I just wanted to like kind of wrap up what all that crazy descriptions of all those things. So basically, he's buying up Lou's stock, knowing right that when he sells it, he's going to make his international 20% no matter what. So right there, taking advantage of Lou. In addition, Bencher locked in low rates to purchase these luxury blimp gondolas. So he's just a knight. They're just like, hey, you're a wealthy, smart dude. I would love to like sell you some gondolas for cheap. And these are like high end. I've seen pictures of this.
These are primo gondolas.
Luxury. Yeah, it's like you can only fit like 8 people in these motherfuckers, but the seats are big. It's plush. They're nice.
Whoa, there's seats?
It's like
it's a goddamn gondola.
Luxury gondolas. Yeah. So it's like the interior of the Learjet underneath a blimp.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So he has those. He's already going to take advantage of Lou's stock options. And then he's also purchasing liquidated blimp production parts from Alan Bond, the crazy Australian. So he's getting all the components to assemble blimps at these facilities that he's bought and is the landlord of, and that he knows pretty soon that because this company is failing, he gets to not only inherit the production facilities, but he can do whatever he wants with those facilities. So why not just immediately turn them in? Like, it's so just like brilliant. And this is why this is the kind of deal someone like Lou could have rested comfortably on for years if he was like, oh, I see what Julian's doing. Hey, man, cut me into this.
Yeah, I want in on this raw blimp material racket.
Yeah, because Julian's basically going to assemble blimps at probably like a third of the cost and sell them for a full price, or lease them, or get advertising money for them and make bank. But Pearlman wasn't paying attention. He was far too busy perpetuating this new King Midas of Queens myth by continuing to buoy Transcon with new investors, some of whom were now also writing checks to Lou's vague 401k plan, which we touched on very slightly in the last episode. But remember these employee investment savings accounts, or they call them ISAs for short, which there's also an actual savings account that's legal called an ISA. So they are mixing words all over the place. But we'll get to that later. So these employee investment savings account were primarily used to pad Pearlman's companies and his personal funds. And by the end of 1991, after Airship International had suffered 2 years of multiple millions in losses, Lou, under the auspices of seeking a sunnier climate and better blimp weather, Pearlman moved his operations to the Huckster's Paradise, home of the world's biggest McDonald's, you guys.
Whoa.
And the alligator capital of the world, overflowing with gullible retirees and Disney-sized dreams. That place is Eric Hawk.
O-Town, Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic. Oh.
Abracadabra, Razzamatazz, Slam Dunk Sesame, Hocus Pocus, Alakazam, gonna set the spirit free. Orlando Magic.
I'm sorry.
Woo!
I wrote it down, but I didn't memorize it.
No, you're fine. I had to write it down too.
That's insane.
That sounded like Labyrinth for a second there.
I'm gonna put it in the fucking episode notes, but it's Harry James Gettings, and we can't get the license for this because I found out it was definitely an unlicensable song. But it's Harry James Gettings, the Orlando Magic theme song.
It's a hell of a vocal performance.
Hang on to your butts. I really wish we could cue it in this episode, but it's just gonna be Eric and I rapping it.
How big is that McDonald's though? Because wasn't the McDonald's below the ferry terminal at Pier whatever
Pier
downtown?
52, yeah.
That thing was tiny.
That wasn't tiny.
I'm assuming by Florida standards that this McDonald's is fucking half the size of Epcot. Like massive. We'll follow up for next episode. Yeah,
definite follow up.
But I think Lou is like, he's saying, I'm about to go to Florida because I'm going to buy this house and it's nicer weather and the blimps, but I think he's realizing that shit, I just lost like $10 million on my public blimp company, which only has one blimp. And now I can't
That's
be
a blimp company, not a blimps company.
But sure. But I think it's really like Lou can't operate there anymore because he's losing money. From a financial standpoint, it's probably a smaller town than you would think in New York, and so it's just like, he's mingling with all these penny stocks. All that stuff is kind of getting caved on in the early '90s, so it's like he has to go somewhere else. He can't be the King Midas of Queens anymore.
Also, they can't take your house in Florida.
And bingo, yeah,
This is true.
So
As a homesteading law.
And and Pearlman's getting out of there. Great point, Danny. Like I kind of noted in here, that he's financially safer in Florida than he is in New York. So ever since Lou's high school vacations, Florida was always a destination of choice for Pearlman, and he had purchased a sprawling vacation home in Orlando prior to relocating permanently. And much like his high school vacations, holiday
I think that's all you can legally do before you got to pay.
Lou once again brought along a posse of his Queens friends from the Mitchell Gardens neighborhood they grew up in and gave them jobs as executives in his new Florida Transcon company. Among Lou's crew were Frankie Vasquez Jr., the son of the maintenance man at Mitchell Gardens, who at Lou's urging became a licensed aircraft mechanic and did work onLou's planes, his lease planes.
That's pretty cool, huh? That's how he treats the family. The Lou crew. Yeah. You stay with him. He urged him into, a good trade, and now he's using him.
He's like a viper. Hey, little mousy, come on in here. It's nice and warm. We can hang out for a little bit. Strike.
Lou crew, though.
Oh, a viper. I thought you said a viber, and I was like, yeah, he does read vibes real good.
His other friend, Paul Russo, a Queens friend who became Lou's personal driver. Frank Scioli, a one-time guitarist for Lou's band Flyer. And lastly, Alan Siegel, another one of Lou's friends who was first employed as Pearlman's chauffeur.
Loyalty.
Yeah, he's got his boys. Hey, this is my crew, huh?
Now they're his executives.
Yeah. These are my made men, huh? And as Lou began to set up his new operation in the Sunshine State of Florida, Pearlman's airship industries needed quick cash after having just lost $8.5 million over 2 years, like we talked about. So Pearlman issued a fresh batch of public stock and hired another brokerage firm named Chatfield Dean & Company that was also embroiled in regulatory scrutiny and had racked up $2.4 million in fines for questionable stock sales from the 200 to 300 cold calls a day that their reps would make in order to talk to anyone who answered the phone into buying high-risk, low-value stocks. Eric, you worked at a call center.
I did, yeah. Yeah, we weren't selling stocks. We were selling ideas. Yeah. You work at MJM?
Yeah. We weren't selling anything. I was just trying to get people to give money to the kids, to the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh,
and then to the Tom Skerritt play.
There was a lot of them. Did you like kind of change your voice? Did you do different codes for different campaigns? I totally did.
I just have one phone voice.
Oh my gosh, I have so many. People called me Just Eric at MJM because I would be like, "Hey, how you doing there? This is Just Eric calling on behalf of the like." No matter what the campaign was, just like a real disarming, like, "Hey, it's Just Eric, man." I killed it. I was incredible at that job.
Some money. Well, when those cold calls proved fruitless, brokers from the firm invested clients' money in Transcon stocks without their knowledge. And with the feverish stock sales, Chatfield, Dean & Co. raised $17 million for Pearlman's Airship International. And by 1993, Lou's company was back in the black. Just look, if they don't want to buy the freaking stocks, hang up and just charge them for the stocks.
Pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. Julian Bencher, curious, of course, with Lou's new state setup and surging stock sales, decided to pay a visit and meet with the Airship International's newly flushed with cash executives, Lou's made men.
The Lou crew.
Yeah, the Lou. Here we go.
He said it first.
Yep.
Like 10 minutes ago.
The Lou. Oh, you did?
Yeah. Put it on the shirt, though.
Sorry.
I also volunteered at a food kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Lou crew, a.k.a. Pearlman's goon squad from Queens, Bencher went to check up on them. He wanted to talk to everyone about the company's 12-month plan, but Lou's new CFO didn't seem to understand the question and was preoccupied with the measurements of a new desk he was going to put in at the offices at the new Airship International blimp hangar that the company was building. Bencher said of the trip, "Oi, bruv. Also, I realize that when I do an English accent, that I get a little excited and it immediately turns into Australian
It
accent.
gets real bogan.
But you guys, what is an Australian except for an excited British person, right?
It's
You know?
hectic.
I mean, geez.
Legend.
I kept thinking about it. I was like, that's just what Australians are.
It's perfect.
And then Rachel reminded me that I can do a really good British accent if I'm doing any character from Harry Potter. So if I do Dobby or Helena Bonham Carter, I'm just fine.
You
And
do
I
a Helena Bottom Carter.
Harry Potter.
Oh, sure. It's a real keep us for breakfast.
And then so she was just like, just do that for the next episode.
Now do I Killed Sirius Black.
Oh, I see. I can't do that. But
That's like her
I'm-
big line.
But from now on, when I talk in Julian Bencher's quotes, I'm just going to do Dobby. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Also, BTW, you can't put a calendar down unless you have a desk to put it on. So,
I got a
that's
wall
true.
calendar, bro.
huh?
I got a wall calendar, my man.
No, I'm talking about the dude.
Oh.
Yeah, he's measuring the desk.
He's all like, "How's your calendar plans?" And he's like, "I don't even have a
Yeah.
desk."
I just love that Julian Bencher's like,
desk for the calendar. I can only do an Alan Rickman.
I can
It's,
do
the-
Haggard. Ari.
that's good. Alan Rickman's easy. You just have to swallow your tonsils and extend the end of your sentences.
So anyway, Bencher's asking this fucking CFO what the 12-month plan is, and he's preoccupied with this desk he's putting in at the blimp hangar.
Yeah, the 12-minute plan is desk.
Yeah. So Bencher said of the trip,
That said it for me. I got the sense that Lou's heart was no longer in the airship story. He believed he could make a success in the music business.
Oh, man, I was hoping that was so much longer.
That was a really good Dobby.
That was solid
I
Dobby.
try, just looking for a sock, you guys. Just give me a goddamn fucking sock. So Bencher continued to gobble up Airship International's assets by orchestrating a part of a buyout of electrical company Westinghouse. That stipulated an inclusion of the original promissory note from Pearlman on his first skyship, the one that had flown the Budweiser and SeaWorld ads. Which in a nutshell meant that because the promissory hadn't been paid off by Lou, all of a sudden, Pearlman owed Bencher $1 million, which Julian knew Pearlman didn't have in cash, so he shockingly persuaded Lou to instead give him $1 million worth of Transcon shares. So again, this guy, he's just happens to be negotiating this deal to buy out this electrical company, and then it's like, oh yeah, this is the electrical company that financed Lou's first blimp, and he hasn't paid that off, so Lou owes me $1 million. Well, I'll just get more of this Transcon stock that I can immediately sell if this fucking thing goes tits up, and I'll make 20% on top of it.
It's robbing Peter to pay Paul, but the robber makes out either way.
Boy, oi, bruv. This boy. Because remember, from Bencher's perspective and his personal experience at the Woolen Kempers in the Bahamas and his flights on Lou's Learjets, where Pearlman told Bencher the tall tales of the Queen's kid done good, Julian was convinced that the real money to be made was on the private side of Lou's business in Transcontinental. Remember, he'd be like, how do you get this Learjet? It's like, oh, it's not the blimp company that we make money with. It's Transcontinental. So Bencher's just like, oh, that's where I want to be. So Julian was convinced that the real money to be made was on that private side of the business. And upon agreeing to rip up Pearlman's promissory note, Bencher became a 7% owner in Transcon, with Pearlman owning 12.5%, and Julian believing that while Theodore Willenkemper owned the majority of the company, that a handful of other investors also owned slivers to make up the whole through limited liability partnerships, the ISA accounts, in Transcon. Now, even though Bencher himself had never spoken to Willenkemper about his personal stake in Transcon, Julian had every reason to believe Willenkemper was involved in the company, as Willenkemper was highly secretive, had loads of money, and a real fleet of planes and blimps that included, Eric, you're going to be stoked on this, a hangar full of vintage aircrafts like a World War II German Messerschmitt, which I think you mentioned.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
The Messerschmitt made the first fighter jet, 262.
And inside this hangar is also where Bencher said that one night Theodore Willenkemper showed him underneath the hangar a secret lair complete with a swimming pool and a phone bank call center, like MJM. Well, they called it MJM just because you could say that real quick.
Because her name was Mardell J. Moore. But yeah, no, that was totally like, yeah, MJM.
We're calling you.
We were like telling us, you were doing like the good campaigns. They were giving me the sort of, no.
Yeah, if you said no to me, you're a bad person.
I was impersonating police officers. We were doing like the policeman's, fraternal organizations. All that kind of stuff.
Everybody worked at that call. Now that I'm thinking about it, everybody worked at that call center.
Yeah, we all did.
Guys,
we all had a
bands.
real good phone voice.
Yeah, amazing.
It's funny. You went in there and it was like retired people, alcoholics, and just like scrubby musicians.
Yeah. But also Randy, though.
And also Randy. Membership.
And Scrubby Randy, apparently?
Randy looked like Oswald Cobblepot. Yeah. It's like his entire personality was working at the call center. He was incredible. Anytime he'd get a membership, he'd slam the phone down and announce to the room, membership.
So Willenkemper literally has a call center with Scrubby Randy in his basement in like a secret lair swimming pool. It's like fucking insane. Julian says of this, and this is why he's thinking, oh, of course this guy and Lou, they were on the island and Willenkemper's calling Lou the son that he didn't have, So of course Willenkemper's like, he says, of this fucking hidden lair, he says, it was like something out of the movies. Would it fit that this is a guy who owns numerous aircraft? Absolutely.
Look at him when he does the voice.
No.
Yeah. So our weird little Nazi
It'll
Theodore.
make Dobby weird for me.
Yeah.
I gotta look up.
So this fucking, Dobby's hanging out with this little Nazi Theodore who sounds like Lex Luthor, but also I saw a picture of Theodore Willenkemper in The Hit Charade by Tyler Grape. And I was surprised because we're talking the matching outfits, the Mercedes-Benz stuff, all the like beautiful ladies that he takes around. We were calling him the prince of the blimp industry in like episode 2. You guys, this guy looks like a warm pile of sauerkraut.
Cool.
He's like the greasiest looking man I've ever seen in my entire life.
Just a schnitzel.
So yeah, but you can see why Julian is just like, yeah, he's got to be backing Lou. Lou's a ding dong. There's no way like any of this is like working out unless like Theodore like has a big stake in this. Furthermore, all of the documents that Lou's auditing firm had presented to Bencher claimed that Transcon was operating on nearly $78.5 million and growing. So while Bencher was now a leader in the blimp industry and continuing to figure out how to corner the lighter than air components market, Lou let his blimp interests deflate. Fuck, dude. So good. And on June 1st, 1991, under the pressure from MetLife to get his Skyship 600 adorned with Snoopy and all the marketing graphics up and into the sky, Pearlman rushed his mechanics into the assembly of the blimp. And in the haste, his crew wired the blimp's steering controls backwards, causing the blimp to rise 150 feet into the air. And upon its launch, it promptly dove into a giant post, ripped the airship's bag wide open, and destroyed the blimp.
Snoopy, no.
I know. Jordache Part 2. And the National Transportation Safety Board revealed the wiring foul-up upon inspection and reprimanded the mechanics, ground crew, and pilot for failing to catch the mistake during the mandatory pre-flight inspections.
Not the Lou crew.
I know. But Burton Dodge, who painted every one of Pearlman's ships, said the Skyship 600 was technically on its last leg, and that mechanics had warned Lou about the potential wiring issues in advance. But Pearlman had insisted on rushing the blimp's launch, with Dodge making the accusation that, quote, Lou Pearlman always had ulterior motives. Hey, little mousy, I'm the little viper. Come on into it's nice and warm in my hole.
Lou Pearlman thought everybody felt like working as hard as Lou Pearlman works.
I think
with more opportunities than he ever had.
Lou Pearlman was inviting more people into his wormhole than you think, my friend.
He invited no one into his wormhole. He did not care about wormholes.
Well, based upon Dodge's accusation, Lou Pearlman always had ulterior motives, and he knew that thing would crash, and he would collect the insurance money for it. So after another blimp disaster, Lou began to get out of minding airships and servicing clients, and got busy converting Transcontinental into an entertainment company, the toughest part of which would be keeping all the shareholders and investors confident in Pearlman's schemes. Most importantly of which, our friend Julian the Bitch Bencher, as flipping his company from an airship transportation service to creating boy bands seemed like a wild leap to everybody involved. But Bencher, especially, having shared disagreements and ups and downs with Lou, began to see Pearlman less as the subject of a detached amusement and more of an actual friend. And whether or not that friendship was born out of Julian feeling sorry for having taken advantage of Pearlman so many times already in their relationship, when it was clear that Lou's heart wasn't in the blimp business anymore, Bencher agreed to put up half the money necessary to make a band, even though it was never technically a boy band that Bencher invested in. He was investing because he owned a large chunk of the company that would own the band, and he wanted a goddamn return. And so with Bencher's further financing, Lou immediately restyled his Queen City chums and transformed them, the Lou crew, from first-time airship executives into first-time music industry executives by overpaying them for jobs they were underqualified for, which, Eric, that's the music industry! Yay!
That's it. Nothing wrong with that. Still working the same way, man.
When I read that, I was just like,
At every goddamn level.
Oh boy, we just did a fucking 30-day cycle of PR for Gatsby. I probably shouldn't even say this in this podcast, but it fucking got us nothing, and I don't know where the money went either. But Lou's ragtag Lou crew,
Just a little sliver.
Just a side note,
Sliver of humanity.
But yeah, Lou's ragtag Lou crew maintained their executive roles by doing exactly as Pearlman instructed without question, so that Lou could continue to juggle bogus investment opportunities, which enabled Pearlman the financial capacity to form. And ladies and gentlemen, we finally arrived at Backstreet. All right, the Backstreet Boys, buddies. Now to understand,
It only took 4 episodes.
Woo! Now, to understand the conditions that allowed Lou to grow and harvest boy band after boy band, beginning with the Backstreet Boys, you have to understand Orlando, Florida. It's Orlando magic. It's Orlando magic. It's Orlando magic.
I love how he just sings like the Hocus Pocus.
I like the guitar. The guitar is amazing.
The guitar's sick.
The guitar kind of sounds a little bit like Eric Hawk guitar.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, that is such a compliment, dude.
We got to get a bunch of stock guitar from you so that we can.
Oh yeah,
in
I'll bet
episodes
it's
and stuff.
That's
Yeah.
got to be like Steve Lukather. They called up Luke.
So
Lukather?
Steve Lukather is the dude from Toto, but he played like the riff on Beat It. He played every fucking song from the 80s. That's Luke.
Lukather.
They call him Luke.
So let's understand the magic of Orlando, Florida. From the 1980s into the early 90s, as the city morphed into what is now referenced to as affordable Hollywood and the theme park capital of the world.
If you're comparing it to Hollywood, Florida.
Nice.
Yeah. Actually, honestly, reading about Orlando, it made me sad inside. I don't know what that is. I think that's the magic of Orlando, Florida.
I'm playing Orlando in a couple of weeks.
Hey, magic. I hope you absorb the magic of Orlando, Florida and bring some back with you.
Orlando magic.
It's Orlando magic. It's Orlando magic. Okay. Florida, much like Pearlman, has always been a land of boom and bust. And after the mid-1970s American gas shortages, which grinded tourism to a standstill, and the federal government's dispatching of judges to the state of Florida to streamline bankruptcies and prevent further foreclosures on homes and businesses, prior to the Bankruptcy Reform Act of 1978, the mood in the Sunshine State changed. Disney opened Epcot Center in 1982, while simultaneously breaking ground on their Florida film studios that would eventually open 7 years later in 1989, which was just a year before Universal Studios would also open their sound stages, and just 3 years before Michael Eisner and Frank Wells would take over and completely reimagine the Disney company, causing stocks and profits to soar and making fortunes for themselves and their shareholders in the process. At the same time, the Reagan administration, oh, thank God for him, dumped $3.4 million into the defense budget specifically for the Naval Training Center and other aerospace companies based in Orlando. And that investment, coupled with a series of major citrus grove freezes in the 1980s that threatened the nearly century-long industry that gave Orange County its name, in which a shit ton of citrus trees dwindled from 122,000 to 26,000. That's a lot of lost trees in frost. And I was kind of thinking, because we have like an avocado tree that a neighbor gave us that she is moving out of our building, has had there for like 16 to 18 years. And it's like a tree. And she's like, yeah, it'll probably be another decade before it even sprouts fruit. It was like, oh, this is the orange tree thing. Because basically all these farmers were faced with the long dead time for growing trees and the potential for more frost to occur. And so they gave up, sold their groves to housing developers, and those developers brought in local, national, and international contractors, and soon the area boomed with more than 100,000 new housing units built within the decade. And by the time Lou Pearlman had made his move in 1991, Orlando had high-rises, skyscrapers, condos, multiplexes, beach homes,
Shaquille O'Neal,
a bustling town core, and an NBA team called Orlando Magic. It's Orlando Magic. It's Sugar, Agger, Alakazam, Slam Dunk Sesame.
Is it sesame or is it slam dunk sesame?
I say sesame because why would you say sesame?
Because it's all magic words.
Yeah, but
Alakazam.
Sesame.
Why would you say?
I'm the Italian magician. It's sesame.
It's like It's a Me Mario situation.
Yes.
Are you talking about the 40 Thieves?
What?
Who?
You said sesame was a magic word?
Open sesame?
Yeah, I thought it's sesame, isn't it?
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Is it open sesame?
I thought it was open sesame.
I thought it
Oh
was
my
like
God.
sesame. Open sesame. Hey.
It's not what we set up in Alaska, all right?
Oh, yeah.
Said open sesame?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're learning a lot about Alaska before
Doesn't make
Eric
any
gets
sense.
home. So.
Shit, man.
But yeah, Orlando's budding film and television industry began making movies like Parenthood with Steve Martin, Tim Burton's Edward Scissorhands,
Damn right.
as well as television shows like MTV's Remote Control, Win, Lose, or Draw, and Nickelodeon's Double Dare. These are the economic and cultural impactors that affected Orlando and caused the city to be the perfect breeding ground for child stars and post-industry careers for the type of talent that doesn't have the glitz for Los Angeles, the authenticity for Nashville, or the grit to get work in New York City.
Too ugly for LA, too dumb for New York.
That's kind of what they implied in Tyler Gray's hit Charade. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to copy that.
There's a little something for everybody here.
Yeah, it doesn't make it sound good.
Tyler Gray was really setting the tone in that one. So, and I think that's like everything we just described is like Lou is a prime example. Can't hack it in New York. He's getting scared of like, oh, I got to go to Florida where they'll like accept me.
Lou is a boy band.
And in the year-long balmy weather of a state with no income tax and the Homestead Act, which we talked about, where it allows homeowners to keep their houses, even if they are later found out to have paid for those homes with fraudulent money, or they're going into bankruptcy.
Burt Reynolds.
Yeah. And as long as the homeowner didn't borrow against their home, they can keep it even if they go financially kaput. So Orlando was a huckster's haven, and the city epitomized the type of entertainment expertise that is emphasized by the dreams of stage moms and apexed in IP song and dance shows, and was key in inspiring Lou's Mickey Mouse levels of Imagineering in the city that the Walt Disney Company built, which by then boasted a decades-long tradition of molding young singers, dancers, and actors into clean-cut teen stars like the lead of TV's Felicity, Carrie Russell, came from Orlando.
Totally.
Actor Ryan Gosling came from
gods.
Orlando. And of course, we know that Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears came from Orlando.
I didn't know that.
Of course.
We probably will at some point do a whole thing on the Britney Spears story, but we kind of leave Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears out of this whole thing because it's boy band, so we want to talk about a bunch of dongs and dudes. But yeah, they should be included as part of what happens to a lot of these pop stars at that time. So, but it made perfect sense in 1992 that Pearlman would hire Gloria Sicoli, the wife of Transcon executive Frank Sicoli, Lou's part of the Lou crew, and he was the former guitar player and flyer. Gloria Sicoli had ties to local theater and music industry connections through her experience working as a singer at Universal Studios Orlando. Gloria printed and hung up flyers at Orange County high schools, theaters, and local teenage hangouts, as well as took out a classified ad in the Orlando Sentinel that read, quote, "Teen male vocalists. Producer seeks male singers that move well. Between 16 to 19 years of age. Wanted for new kids type singing dancing group. Send photo or bio of any kind." And I was like, reading that, I was like, good God, if you posted that in 2026, you know the fucking cops at your door.
Immediately.
A month later, they had a pool of around 40 teens who they brought to Lou's house for auditions that Sicoli would videotape, and Pearlman watched.
Hey.
But after a couple long days of nonstop drills, neither Lou or Gloria were blown away by the talent or the looks of the auditionees. So Sicoli went back to the Civic Theater of which she was intimate with and familiar, and pulled two standouts from the local theater files. The first, a 14-year-old, Alex James McLean, or AJ for short.
Sensation.
He'd performed in dozens of theater productions that landed him work for Disney, as well as appearing on Nickelodeon's Guts, Climbing the Aggro Crag, Welcome Freshman, and as the character Sydney Skunk Duff in the sitcom Hi Honey, I'm Home. And AJ was also fresh off a $1,000 first place prize at Miami's Latin Carnival for his one-man singing, dancing puppet show.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. We're going to try to find the singing, dancing puppet show.
We got it.
Because that's ridiculous that it won first place at Miami's Latin Carnival.
I'm imagining it with no backing track. It's just like silent.
Just miming. The second name that Gloria Sicoli pulled up just happened to be the runner-up at Miami's Latin Carnival. An 18-year-old son of an Irish cop and Puerto Rican mother. Woo! Tony Dinetti, who had just recently missed out on a slot in the massive rotating member Latin boy band Menudo because of his weak grasp of Spanish. But after being blown away by both McLean and Dinetti's charming demeanors in auditions at Lou's home, both Pearlman and Sicoli agreed these were the obvious first two members of their group. But when they went to contact Tony Dinetti, they couldn't find the Dinetti's family number or family name in the phone book. They'd lost him.
It's the 90s.
Yeah, it's really hard to find people. AJ McLean, however, was represented by Jeanne Tansy Williams, a New York City transplant who was a former performer and music industry veteran with deep ties nationally as well as in the young local talent pool of Orlando, who at the request of AJ's mother, Denise, was contacted by Lou to loop into the scouting process to round out the group.
Go get him, Tansy.
Yeah, Tansy William recalls, and I just imagine her as like the coffee talk lady.
Oh, fully.
Denise said that this blimp company guy said he loved AJ. And in Christmas 92, I get this call. Lou says, I had you checked out. I'll never forget that. I had you checked out, and you're the real deal. I want you to put together a group like the New Kids on the Block. Pearlman agreed to pay Williams 100 shares of the band, which he would incorporate as a business, as well as $750 a week to Tansy and her fellow talent scout, Sybil Galler, in order to find the remaining members of the band. So Galler and Williams combed their rosters of boys and requested headshots from their reps and agents. And soon glossies and bios began pouring in almost overnight for Tansy and Sybil to shuffle through while they arranged to move their auditions from the comforts of Lou's vacation home and into a hot and cavernous blimp parts warehouse in Kissimmee, Florida. A Kissimmee!
If you can deliver
You!
open sesame.
Open sesame!
Yeah.
You!
Doesn't that feel better?
Sesame, Florida.
Hell yeah. So Kissimmee, I kiss you, was a neon stripped part of town on the
What's that from?
I don't know.
Is that just something you're doing? I've never heard that
Yeah,
before.
it's just a bit.
Oh.
I kiss you.
Yeah, you do it 3 times. It's a bit.
Yeah. It's the new bit. The Italian Florida guy. Kissimmee was a neon-stripped part of town on the gaudy outskirts of Orlando, and after a few days of auditions, a young man named Howie Duro sauntered in through the door, who Lou recognized instantly as Tony Dannetti. Tony Dannetti was an apparent stage name given to Duro by his previous agent, and with Pearlman and the rechristened Howie D., now reacquainted, Tansy Williams was also impressed with Duro's stellar voice, and the two decided to give Howie a job in their boy band on the spot. The third person to catch Pearlman's attention had almost been weeded out of the early submissions from Gloria Sicoli's pool of talent agents for being too young. And although Pearlman wanted young-looking males for his group, did he ever? The blonde and beaming Nick Carter was at the time only 13 years old.
Does he have a brother?
What's the Norm Macdonald? The Letterman. So anyway,
Keep it going.
Tansy Williams admitted that she had pondered over Carter's headshot because he was, quote, so adorable. But what Williams and Pearlman were unaware of was that Carter had started performing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers cheerleading squad. That's true. And he'd already been offered a role on the Disney Channel's Mickey Mouse Club. And upon some subtle persistence from Tansy Williams' husband, Nick Carter was invited to the audition to sing and dance through a 20-minute routine and showed up opening with a shrewd move by singing Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water. Oof. Fucking teacher's pet. Jesus. Before he continued with some up-tempo numbers and a dancing routine that involved a cartwheel that had Carter grimacing in pain before he finished his audition with a smile. When asked if he was okay, Nick said yeah, and that he just hurt his wrist a little bit. But he'd wanted to finish his audition for everyone. However, when Carter went to the hospital later that day, he found out his wrist was broken. And as Tansy Williams noted of Carter, what a little pro. We knew immediately. It's just like, what is it? It's like, oh, here we go. You just sacrifice your body for the
Oh, she's like, he's got bones made out of glass. He's in.
Yep. And with that, the core of the group was in place. So Lou and Tansy took the boys and their parents out to Lou's favorite sub sandwich shop in Orlando before heading back to Pearlman's house, where the boys took advantage of the swimming pool, billiards table, and dropped an endless supply of quarters into Lou's slot machines. And there's a lot of similar things going on to the stuff that Lou puts in his house as, the Neverland Ranch.
I was going to say.
And that'll come up, later. But there's a lot of attractive entertainment options for young males in Lou's vacation house.
I'm picturing
For
it
a very good reason.
Picturing it like the apartment that Tom Hanks gets himself in Big.
Yeah.
Like I was sleep on a trampoline,
Yes.
and I rigged up the Pepsi machine
Yep.
so I don't need quarters.
Yep. And so with the accompaniment of Nick and AJ's mother, Jane Carter, and Denise McLean, Lou moved the boys themselves into a fully furnished 4-bedroom house near Tansy Williams' home in suburban Orlando that had a wood-floored and mirrored dance studio built out in the garage, where 6 days a week the boys would meet for breakfast, often cooked by Nick's mother, Jane. Then they'd meet with tutors before having lunch at noon, and afterwards went straight to dance and vocal rehearsals in the garage for the rest of the day, until Lou would take them out to dinner at kitschy restaurants like TGI Fridays.
Whoa.
Potato skins are blackberries. They're on the menu. The TGI Fridays was
Jesus
near
Christ.
local teen hangout.
Didn't they just get sued for that?
Did they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they just got sued because their potato skins aren't.
Oh, there's like no potato in their
Yeah.
potatoes.
Yes, because we were sending that article back and forth. Yeah,
Yeah.
They did.
Oh,
So
that- oh,
the fake potato skins are back.
They're delicious. It's fine.
The TGA, yeah. They're big twice, god damn it! So the TGA Fridays was near a local teen hangout, an open-air bazaar called the Backstreet Market, and it was over a plate of mozzarella sticks and marinara dip, where Lou pointed across the street and suggested the name Backstreet to his group of boys. Now, at this time, prior to what the public would come to know as the individuals that made up the Backstreet Boys, AJ, Howie, Nick, Brian, and Kevin, there were 3 other members who had shortened tenors in the band. First, Charles Edwards.
Chucky.
Give this fucker a stage name. Only lasted 6 months as he wasn't blending in with the other members' inherent R&B soul-influenced vocal stylings. He's just in there singing like Eddie Vedder. Yeah. Like, dude, can you stop, please? And Edwards' dance movements were so stiff that they never seemed like they'd loosen. So Lou took the crew out for dinner and invited the boys' parents, as well as Tansy Williams and Julian Bencher, who, remember, even as a highly respected blimp mogul, still owned a massive stake in Lou's new entertainment business affairs. And as Bencher put it about the dinner,
I thought I had the biggest stake in the whole group.
Which he did. For, he's putting real money into this thing. So Jane Carter recalls that after a brief speech at the table from Pearlman, Tansy Williams just started crying, and her emotions gave a young Charles Edwards a sense that something bad was about to happen. At which point, Julian Bencher leaned over and started bluntly telling Charles that he straight up wasn't up to snuff, and by the end of the meal had convinced the teenager that he needed to quit or he would bring the group down as a whole, which of course made Charles sob before he decided to get up and leave, with Tansy Williams describing the incident as, quote, "It was like drowning a freaking puppy."
Damn. Charles
Awkward.
Edwards. We should get Charles Edwards on the podcast. That seems like a really
This
low
poor
level
son
ask.
of a bitch. Yeah, just fucking.
Did you do a follow-up on him?
No, we could.
You learned what happened to that kid, and you didn't want to check up to see if he was okay.
This is part of the history, and also this is living
a train spotting life.
Yeah, this is the early '90s. So, he might be dead. I don't know. The second of the booted Backstreet Boys was Sam Licata, who it also became clear after a few months was far more interested in a solo career than being an equal part of a group. And while most of the other members in the first archetype of the Backstreet Boys would hang out together, Sam would wander off alone to write and work on original songs on his keyboard, and additionally had an interest in the business side of the music industry, which is why it was rumored that he'd had a romantic relationship with Tansy Williams' business partner and talent scout, Sybil Galler, and that Sam might have also been personally dealing with possibly being bisexual. But by all accounts, Licata just wanted too badly to front the group, and years after Sam left, he filed a lawsuit that Pearlman settled out of court, saying, "Yeah, I thought it ended amicably."
How old was Sybil Galler?
Well, this is the whole thing. Red flags, this is like, the red flags are all, they've just started to get into this, and the red flags are shooting up, because there's rumors of this teen in a relationship. He's like 18 or 19, and she's like in her early 30s or something like that. Lou's out-of-court settlements already. And then this next part, you guys, is bonkers. I think, Danny, you've talked about this maybe either on one of the episodes briefly or in our group text. But, like, the band hasn't even been solidified. You got fucking teenagers you got fucking...
Yeah, you do.
You got all kinds of stuff going on.
It's cool.
The third... Thanks, butthead. The third member, a rarely mentioned, quote, and this is in everything that you read, little Spanish boy who no one could remember anything about except for his first name, Jaime, was, as Tyler Gray puts in his book, The Hit Charade, quote, an extremely short-lived, swivel-hipped phantom member of the group.
Swivel-hipped?
A pelvic anomaly.
Jesus.
Jaime.
The pelvic anomaly?
Jaime, this fucking 3-minute member of the boy band, has basically been erased from the public Backstreet Boy legend. However, Tansy Williams recalls Pearlman's eyes bugging out, she said, during his audition, and was quoted as saying,
Auga?
Jamie was not a swell singer, but he was wild. He did this dance with his pelvis that was so hot. Again, we've got fucking 30-year-old women talking about Jaime, the undocumented member of the Backstreet Boys, swiveling his hips. So hot.
Pelvic anomaly.
We haven't seen it.
We never will because we don't know where Jaime went. Pearlman wanted Jaime in the group as a live stand-in, much like a Broadway show.
We got to find those pelvis vids.
Yeah, but Tansy, Wilmus, and Sybil Gollard convinced Lou that the public would never buy something like that once the group were famous pop stars. And thus, Lou relented. Okay, what? I mean, what the fuck? He's not, this little Jaime is not mentioned in Bands, Brands, and Billions, is he? Yep, there you go. So with the departure of
Jaime
Charles
Erasure.
Edwards, Sam Licata, and the ghost of a gyrating Jaime, the clock was ticking for
That's
the
what
Backstreet
made Elvis
Boys.
famous.
They called him Elvis Pelvis. That was
See?
the thing.
Pelvises are big. I want the vids.
The clock was ticking for the Backstreet Boys as every round of unsuccessful auditions that left the group without a finalized lineup meant a day of missed rehearsals and racked up bills without the potential for recoupment until a Transcon low-level employee met a 21-year-old named Kevin Richardson and had set up a meeting between the aspiring performer and Lou at Pearlman's offices. Richardson, who technically had the least amount of professional training out of all the members, but was the most level-headed, had been a football player, a wedding singer in Kentucky prior to moving to Orlando, and was at the time modeling and acting in Walt Disney World's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show.
Sick.
As well as playing Aladdin in the Disney Parade. And at Kevin's age and maturity level, Richardson would become a built-in chaperone and clicked with all the other boys, and picked up the dance moves and vocal parts quickly. Soon after Kevin Richardson watched Tansy Williams unsuccessfully bring in a dozen or more candidates to wrap up the band's membership, Kevin convinced Lou to give his cousin back in the foothills of Appalachia a crack at it. That cousin was Brian Luttrell. Luttrell, who was attending Tates Creek High School in Lexington, Kentucky, received notice while in his American history class that there was a phone call for him in the office. It was his cousin Kevin who asked him to sing over the phone to a man named Lou Pearlman, who immediately put Brian on a plane the next day.
Sing to a man.
Yeah, sing to this man. He's in his fucking school office, like,
my God.
with the secretary and shit, like standing there.
We're going to need you to sing to a man.
Yeah, this was Brian Luttrell's first flight of his life to Orlando, and Brian showed up to SeaWorld, where the Backstreet Boys were preparing to play their first gig at the same park where Lou Shamu and Budweiser blimps had flown as part of the first deals Pearlman made with his airship company. And after Luttrell had belted out lines from various pop songs in the stands by an orca saltwater pool, that's my whale sound, he was invited to join the band, and the Backstreet Boys were finally solidified. Earth, wind, water, fire, air, motherfuckers.
Damn.
Let's go. On May 8th, 1993, at SeaWorld High School's grad night, just 2 weeks after Brian Luttrell had joined up with the other four Backstreet Boys, the group debuted at the Nautilus Theater on a balmy night and on a wet stage that was sopping wet with speedboat spray and the residual drippings from the stuntman's suit during a water ski show that was the opening act of the
Are
night.
those your words?
This is what happened. There was a water ski
I'm just
act.
saying that's a very well-described stage.
Dude, totally.
This is in the book, but
The water ski
you
thing?
don't talk about the stage like that.
Oh man! Well, I noted,
was wet.
I noted in here to be like, Eric, how badass would it be to have a water skiing show open for any band that we're in?
The Lashes opened for a wet t-shirt contest once at the Moroso Speedway in Florida. We got real booed. It was on ESPN too.
Oh man, we're gonna have to save that story for some NASCAR related episodes.
We had to bring the girls out early. They were going to kill us.
Man, I think a water skiing show would sell more tickets for any one of my shows. So there you go for it. Nonetheless, the Backstreet Boys braved those conditions and carried out their choreography, singing in chorus with one another while their matching feathered 90s male bob haircuts bounced in time between the deafening screams of teenage girls that defined the type of recognizable registers heard when the Beatles performed on Ed Sullivan. The show ended when, literally, Shamu jumped through a hoop and the crowd went wild. Now, looking to capitalize...
Sensational.
Yeah. And looking to capitalize on the SeaWorld set hype, Tansy Williams, Lou, and the recently hired Scott Hoekstra, another talent agent who was brought on to book future gigs, flew the Backstreet Boys to New York for showcases with ICM and William Morris, a trip in which Pearlman spent almost $3 million of his own money to rent the performance space, buy the full sound system, as well as brought along the group's vocal coaches, choreographers, etc. An entire crew totaling more than 24 people who were all on salary, and put them up in the Plaza Hotel on Central Park. But when it was all said and done, not even Lou's limos and lavish hotel rooms could secure a record deal, representation, or even plant the seed of an idea within the music industry. The Backstreet Boys were the future of pop. As in 1993, remember, the Billboard Top 20 was dominated by R&B artists who had built massive and more mature young adult audiences like Whitney Houston, UB40, Janet Jackson, Mariah Carey, SWV, Jodeci, etc. That's the competition at that point. So you can imagine
Jodeci.
Yeah. So you can imagine the sheer talent disparity on display, despite Pearlman providing all the bells and whistles for his boys. And when everyone returned to Florida and Tansy Williams began trying to rally the crew back to the Blimp warehouse for rehearsals, she wasn't getting a response from the band members. And when contacted, Pearlman told Williams he was giving the boys a breather. That is, until Pearlman reassembled everyone at the warehouse where the members of the Backstreet Boys struggled to make eye contact with Tansy Williams, as Lou told her that the boys needed a bigger and bolder vision and that they were going to find a new manager.
Wait, why couldn't they look at her? Oh, they already knew.
They already knew. Yeah.
I went into tunnel vision. I think I fainted.
Goodbye, Tansy.
Yeah. Williams had been deferring her salary, taking just $100 a week plus living expenses for a chance at her biggest bank in the music industry. She said of Pearlman, "I still really love the man. It's practically taken going through therapy to find out why I even feel that way. He knows how to use you."
I practically went to therapy.
Yeah. You know who he reminds me of as the kid who would tear the wings off of flies, not even to kill them, but just to watch them crawl around and not be able to fly.
He's just making ants. It's fine. Who's Tansy's husband again?
Tansy is she's not anybody. She's just the person who works in Florida who used to be.
No, but her husband, like,
that's Sicoli, Frank Sicoli, and we'll hear about the Sicoli.
No, but I thought Tansy's husband convinced one of the kids to do something at one point.
That's yeah. You're thinking of Sicoli.
Are you sure?
Yes. Yeah.
What's his wife do?
His wife is the singer at Universal Studios.
Okay, yeah,
Yes,
sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's why she married the guitar player. They had a common bond with the music thing. And then Tansy is like an acquaintance who's like, she actually worked in the, like, that's why Lou was like, I looked you up. You're legit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then her assistant fucks Sam the kid.
The Sam the kid. Yes. Now you got it.
Yeah. A lot of names.
So, Williams would file a lawsuit that, again, was settled out of court for an undisclosed sum. And with everyone moving forward without Tansy, Pearlman hired a former radio DJ and wheeling-dealing former chaperone for New Kids on the Block, Johnny Wright, and his wife, Donna, to be the new managers of the Backstreet Boys. The Wrights had earned their reputation for making things happen and had an insider's view into how to keep the wheels greased at the times of heightened successes during the last boy band pop act explosion of the late 1980s. And the two would provide the type of connections nobody else thus far could. And soon, Donna's constant phone work, putting the boys online to sing a cappella over the phone.
Sing for a man.
She said she was trying to prove to A&Rs that the Backstreet Boys had what Donna said the New Kids on the Block had lacked. Ooh! Fight! Mercury Records president Ed Eckstein showed enough interest in the group that he was finally ready to sign the Backstreet Boys and went to his partner at the label, John Cougar Mellencamp.
Oh, shit.
For approval before inking the deal. But Mellencamp got pissed, threatened to walk away from the label if Ed was going to get them into the boy band business. And Johnny and Donna...
John Cougar Mellencamp is the voice of the working class. He doesn't need that glitzy shit.
And there's actually, they interview him and he was like, I was ready to shut that fucking thing down if you did it. However, Johnny and Donna saw an immediate opportunity when an A&R ally at Mercury, Dave McPherson, left to work for Jive Records. And so Donna would call McPherson during Backstreet Boys gigs at surrounding local schools so that he could hear the ear-bleeding screams of young girls losing their mind. In 1994, Lou's Motown-like industriousness worked, and the group signed a deal with Jive Records. Jive Records, real quick, because I think it's interesting that this happens, began as a British synth-pop label, releasing records by like Flock of Seagulls. But it's a perfect encapsulation of like a white male-owned label who capitalized on the emerging new sound of hip-hop in the early 80s. Jive would go on to release classic records from groups like Houdini, Boogie Down Productions, Too Short, Schoolie D, E40,
Damn.
UGK, A Tribe Called Quest, and Aaliyah before selling a major stake in Jive to BMG, who would shift the label's sound and image away from black artists and start to signing acts like Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, and NSYNC, and remake the entire label's image. Shortly after, the Backstreet Boys were the featured entertainment as Julian Bencher's wedding, of which Lou was the best man. And in the wedding video, Bencher said the boys hit the open bar too hard. But whether that was true or not, their performance was uncharacteristically off as they missed notes and were unable to find their harmonies. And when the camera turned to Bencher's father-in-law, he could be heard saying, "This is the shit my son-in-law sank his money into."
Rough.
That's like on a home video.
That's just like steady cam.
A year later in 1995, the Backstreet Boys released their first single, We've Got It Going On, which soared to number 69 on the Billboard charts. Fun fact, number 69, AJ has the number 69 tattooed over his belly button and has said that it's his lucky number.
Gross.
Because remember, he's the bad boy.
He is the bad boy.
Is this the band that has the ugly one with the little chin thing?
We talked about this. They all have the ugly one with the
there's
chin
always
thing.
a guy. There's always a rat boy in every one of
The
them.
spikies.
Yeah.
Well, all boy bands, now that you talked about the whole Orlando thing, none of them are actually like attractive as like people.
No,
but when you look at
that's
all
exactly
of them
what I'm talking
together,
about.
you can fool yourself.
Yes.
You can cross your eyes and magic eye it.
It's Captain Planet and the Planeteers. He just
Amazing
made the reference.
point. Amazing point.
Several weeks later.
So like I was saying, boy bands are hot. Guys in boy bands are ugly.
Yeah, Fanny, well put.
Bit of a Monet.
Yeah. They are the magic eye posters of the industry. And there's, like you're saying, there's just something to the Backstreet Boys where to enjoy it, you have to cross your eyes, blur your vision, give yourself a headache before you can see the sailboat, you know?
You can just stick your thumb over that guy
Yeah.
with the little thing too.
With his little goatee.
Yeah.
I've been staring at this thing for a week now from open till close, and I can't see a goddamn thing.
Oh, it's a schooner.
And also, much like when Eric and the Lashes were the openers at the NASCAR drag racing event / wet t-shirt contest,
Truth.
you know, the Backstreet Boys' initial offering, We've Got It Going On,
This is a tenuous connection. at
yeah,
best.
didn't have the cleavage to go any higher than number 69 on the Billboard charts. I did see Jacob between when we started this episode and when we're wrapping it up right now, and he gave me the full rundown on that story. It's
Yeah.
fucking awesome. So at some point in time, we'll have to get the full. Because apparently there was like a lead up to it where Scotty's too drunk to get on a plane. There's lost gear involved. You have to go to a Guitar Center and buy a bunch of guitars.
Everything.
And return them the next day, which the
bummed
guys
that
were
guy out
so
so
mad.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounded fucking cool. Other than some guy, named Larry being like, "Hey, that guitar player ain't got no tits,"
Every aspect of it was bullshit.
Hey, Earl, I thought the bass player was pretty hot till I saw him peeing standing up.
Every aspect of it was just like a rug pull because it was pitched to us by our manager like it's gonna be out there on the Florida beach. ESPN's gonna be there, like super hot. ESPN like 6 was there, and it
That's
was
what Jacob said too.
and it was like a Fast and Furious kind of thing. It was like an NHRA like Honda Civics with fart can mufflers.
And Jacob said, I think it was below ESPNU.
Yeah, yeah, it was ESPN new.
Oh my gosh.
New.
Well, just as quickly as the Backstreet Boys' number 69 Billboard hit, We've Got It Going On, as quickly as it rose, the single soon tanked, leaving the group's record deal hanging in the balance. So Lou and Johnny Wright and Donna, the two new managers, wisely came up with the idea to fly the group to Europe, where they could play for a smaller yet global market that craved pop music in order for the Backstreet Boys to come home to the U.S. on a wave of popularity, while simultaneously getting the experience of working and recording in places like Sweden, with the likes of Ace of Base producer Dennis Pop. Yeah, and Thane and I were just talking about Dennis Pop out front.
Great name for a pop producer.
I know, just so good. And it's
We
Dennis,
better have been.
It's Dennis with a Z, by the way.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
Incredible.
Dennis so cool.
Très chic.
We were outside talking with Danny before you got here, Eric, because I thought it was funny that he'd had asked us originally, like in episode 1 or 2, what other songs Dennis Pop had written, and you and I could only think of "Toxic" by Britney Spears.
Right.
And then a week ago, I realized as I was like doing research for the rest of this that like, oh yeah, he had done "Shake It Off" by Taylor Swift.
Oh, Jesus.
So I was like, oh yeah, he's still churning them out.
He's doing okay. He's making the money.
Yeah.
Ace of Base, white supremacists?
Really?
Yeah.
I think there's a nationalist in the group. I'm pretty sure.
Like down to the name,
Yeah.
like the whole thing, and
Well,
like
they were also doing white Swedish reggae. So.
yeah, like the sign is kind of self-evident. All that she wants is another baby. Is like a weird birthright.
Yeah.
There's
It's
dark
it's
history.
Wait, what's the sign?
I saw the sign.
Yeah.
A swastika, dude.
I mean,
Really?
could be.
Well, again, at this time, American audiences.
You know what, that design on their front of that's like a flower, but
Yeah.
that could be a swastika.
Oh yeah, sure.
Sure.
A lot of things could be swastikas if you stop and think about them.
Well, American audiences, remember, were over the boy band craze of the late 80s and early 90s in favor of legitimate R&B chartreuses. Like we mentioned, Boys to Men, the gangster rap of Dr. Dre and Death Row Records was starting to blow up, as well as the contemporarily loved Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah.
And of course, the world-changing look and sound of loud guitars, tortured vocalists with long hair who wore ripped jeans and flannel shirts of the newly coined grunge culture that was coming out of the Northwest. But there was one issue with Lou and the Right's European plan for the Backstreet Boys, as brilliant as the idea and conception might have been. Jive Records was like, fuck no, we're not paying for that. And it's at this point where the Wrights are coming to the realization of how Lou is manipulating the interdependency of his relationship with the two of them, as both parties were lacking something that the other had, making each other obviously necessary to the both of their survivals. Johnny Wright was in the early stages of coming to terms with the disconnect at hand, as Johnny had scrapped his way through multiple tours with the New Kids on the Block. He was, quote, a road dog at his core, having watched NKOTB get rich, while Wright himself walked away without much financially to brag about for his efforts. And for all of Johnny's connections and accomplishments, he still considered he and Donna's deal with Lou to be realistically their big opportunity. And he was like he was a radio DJ.
Yeah.
He'd done the tour managing for New Kids on the Block. So he was a guy, and I thought it was really interesting. Like, I mean, he's coming into Lou's world being like, hey, you're a big deal. And he's basically has nothing to show for it, even at this time. So as Johnny Wright put it, he said, all I had was time and talent. And all Lou did was put up all the money. Simply put, here was Wright, who'd worked his way into the business, and here was Lou, who in one fell swoop had bought his way in, having by now spent $3 million just to finance the formation of the Backstreet Boys by basically using the same technique he had honed back in New York. The fake it till you make it fat cat ploy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, magical thinking, as they say.
Be it till you see it. He never faked a thing.
Yeah. That's right. Lemonade stand. Boy. Yeah. To make the Backstreet Boys sound successful long before they'd earned any notoriety, the house, the rehearsal space, the tutors, the vocal coaches, the choreographers, the new clothes, the recording engineers, the latest in pitch correction effects, which at that time probably fucking outboard gear.
Rack mount.
Rack mounts and stuff. Their every need was met long before the Wrights ever even got involved with the Backstreet Boys. In fact, Johnny further elaborated of witnessing the lifestyle prior to coming on board as the Backstreet Boys manager. He said, quote, I was like, oh my, some record companies don't even have that kind of cash flow, which is totally true. And again, just putting into perspective, these privileged fucking pricks, dude. God damn it. Just all this stuff when I was reading and following up, it's just like, dude, the band hasn't even popped off. Can you imagine? Yeah. I mean, $3 million would go so far for any group nowadays, obviously.
$3 million 90s bucks too.
Jesus Christ.
Right?
No.
It was like them Sam Goody money.
Man, yeah. And so with Jive Records unwilling to front the bill for the Backstreet Boys to head overseas, here was Lou once again stepping in to put up his own money to make it happen. Own money.
Right.
In the air quotes for the listeners. Concurrently, with Lou's uncalculated and subjective judgment when it came how to spend that money, there was still no real solid business plan that included an end objective other than the 43-year-old Pearlman developing raw male teen talent in a business that would live or die on the whims of young girls and their cultural cravings, which led Johnny Wright to joke that, quote, whether Lou had to rob someone in the middle of the night, the money was definitely there.
I just really want to see a post-it somewhere that's like, 1, get the kids, 2, ... 3, profit. It's just like,
And then just above it, Lou's plan.
get the kids, put them in the car.
Gosh. But while Pearlman was busy playing boy band mogul with his little list of Post-it notes, his airship industry's blimp
Really did
business was facing scrutiny from various directions. In 1994, another of Lou's airships that had been promoting Pink Floyd's Division Bell album.
Solid record.
Yeah?
I
That's
mean,
like the one I haven't listened
It
to.
was like a late career kind of thing, you know.
All the original, the 4 core still involved, right?
Waters and Gilmore, yeah.
Oh, they're still talking? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
still happening.
Maybe I should listen to that. I was like, geez, I haven't listened to that record. The airship had been promoting Pink Floyd's Division Bell album and tour, but it was ripped to shreds by a windstorm while docked in North Carolina just before the other one of Lou's blimps. This one, advertising for Gulf Oil, crashed in a suburb of Long Island on its way to the U.S. Open tennis finals in Queens.
Oh, the
at
humanity.
the tennis stadium.
Jeez.
I know, where he first saw
At the old Arthur
his
Ashe.
cousin.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's-
Whew, pew, pew, dots connecting.
Sometimes the circles get too full.
Yeah, man. It's wild, right?
Did you just come up with that?
Yep.
That's awesome.
It's cool.
It's very cool.
Very cool. It was the 5th blimp that Pearlman's company had crashed or wrecked, which meant statistically that Lou was working on a nearly 70% loss rate on his fleet of blimps from crashes and natural disasters.
Ooh.
A number so alarming that Pearlman's former neighborhood pal and blimp enthusiast, Alan Shit Gross, began making noise with the Federal Aviation Authority.
Oh my God, just live your own life.
Oh, boy. Wow. With the Federal Aviation Authority in regards to the safety negligence and insurance claims being made by Airship International. And upon learning what Gross was up to, Lou responded by having the son of the Mitchell Gardens maintenance man, Frankie Vasquez Jr., which he'll come up a lot more because this is the first instance where Lou basically makes Frankie like the tough guy.
Ooh.
Yeah, the guy that goes in the extractor.
He's a real pally.
He's the enforcer. Yeah.
That's juicy.
So Lou had Frankie Vasquez Jr. call up his mutual childhood friend and poorly play the role of Pearlman's henchman, telling Alan Shit Gross, quote, and this is an actual phone conversation that Gross had recorded for his own records.
Which means you're going to do the voice.
Which means Frankie Vasquez Jr. says, you should keep your mouth shut as far as the antics of getting back at Mr. Pearlman, especially via the Gulf people. There's still a possibility of some good things coming together, and you're only hurting yourself for the futures. And he finished, Alan, otherwise, how's life? How are the women treating you? So good, because they're all neighborhood pals. They all grew up together. And you'll see Frankie, man, he's the one guy that you're going to feel really bad for by the end. I
feel great about him now.
Won't do any spoilers, but
bad cop, perv cop.
Yeah, and
all on his own.
Yeah.
How are the women treating
How's the
you?
women's treating
Yeah,
you?
so that's the women's street. So yeah, he's Frankie Vasquez Jr. He will come into play later on for sure. And then later in 1995, as the Backstreet Boys were preparing to go to Europe on Lou's dime, Alan Gross learned his 500 shares of Airship International stock had mysteriously been transferred without his authorization to his other neighborhood pal, Alan Siegel. I don't know why. Wild. Alan Siegel had come with Lou to Florida to work as a chauffeur, and having had enough, Alan Shit Gross sat down and wrote his first letter to the Securities and Exchange Commission, notifying them of Lou's failure to notify stockholders of meetings, filing proper tax documents, and other serious breaches of fiscal operational responsibilities, and asked for an investigation to determine where not only his stocks had gone, but where millions of dollars in the company's other assets had also disappeared to. Let's see where this is going. Meanwhile, Lou's investment in the Backstreet Boys overseas was starting to see the beginning of a return, and in 1996, the group released I'll Never Break Your Heart, which went gold in Australia, platinum in Germany, and gave the group opportunities to wear matching red, white, and blue outfits while performing sold-out shows in massive Asian, Australian, Canadian, and European venues where they were mobbed wherever they went by the flushed faces of wailing, sobbing, and quivering international teenage girls. And this scene would replay itself everywhere the boys toured. Everywhere. That is, except in the United States of America.
I was going to say, you're missing one.
Yeah, they're getting their full-on first taste of Beatlemania. Yeah. By then, a 26-year-old Kevin Richardson, who had become the group's primary mouthpiece, told the Orlando Sentinel in September of 1997, quote, "In Europe, there would maybe be 500 to 1,000 people just waiting for us at the airport." This is pre-9/11, never forget.
Yo.
So,
At the gate.
at the fucking gate, dude. Nobody checked. No shoes off, no laptops out. Kevin Richardson continues, "But when I got off the plane back home in Orlando, it's Orlando magic. It's Orlando magic."
Instant callback.
Great song. He said, "When I got off the plane in Orlando, it's like nobody knew who I was."
Oh, that had to have been really hard on the guy.
And that's where we'll pick up for next episode.
You know,
Backstreet Boys trying to get people to notice them.
you don't realize that your anonymity is a commodity until you lose it.
Totally. I just saw a podcast with Lionel Richie, and he said the same thing about Chaperone.
Sure.
And her little Brazilian escapade.
Her
and
whole
he
situation.
Said, people start off in the arts and especially in the music industry wanting all the attention that they could possibly ever dream of. And he's like, the second they get it, he's like 9 out of 10 of them will reject it all.
Absolutely.
What happened to Chaperone in Brazil?
Oh.
I actually don't even know, other than there's like a famous soccer player and a kid involved.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She
kinda
like pushed someone.
Nah,
Or
she just
like,
verbally abused and berated the kid. She was in like a lobby bar though. Like all these Chaperone stories, like
she was on the
she's staying in the same hotel that everyone else is staying at for Fashion Week and like put off that, like you can get room service. There's always like a side entrance that you can. She wants this.
Yeah,
it's intentional.
I thought the Lionel Richie thing was for being the stepfather to one of the guys in Good Charlotte.
Yeah,
I think I thought I was like, damn, Lionel's just dropping.
Yeah, Nicole Richie and Benji Maddox, whichever, or Joel.
I don't know which is either. So I can't tell them apart.
2004 called.
Yeah. So, well, shit, dudes. That's a good, informative, long, lengthy part 4.
That's a solid part 4. Kurt Cobain wanted it real bad. Or Kurt Cobain thought he wanted it real bad.
He's like, I think it's, obviously you can make a case for why he killed himself off the idea that he did not expect the attention.
Nobody wanted it more and then wanted it less so quickly. Like you go back into his journals, they had that, bringing punk to the masses exhibit at Mohop or whatever. And that dude was like drawing stage plots when he was 12, just like doodling songs and imagining like the plan.
Yeah. It's, the same thing that You said it once at some show, making rock and roll dreams come true or something like that.
I said that?
Yeah, you said that. Like something to me. Yeah, I can't remember. It was like, yeah, for every kid, making a rock and roll dream come true or something like that. I was like, Eric Hawk, laying them down.
That doesn't sound like me at all, but you know best.
Oh, gosh.
I've said a lot of things about a lot of things.
Yeah, and we're going to be saying a lot more because there's still like 3 more episodes of this fucking thing to go. So, 3 or 4, so pretty wild. Also think it's interesting that we're tackling this because HBO has a documentary coming out in a couple weeks about Lou Pearlman and the Golden Area boy bands.
Really?
I'm surprised we haven't been contacted.
They stole our jive, dude.
Yeah, it's stolen valor.
Yeah.
This is our Looniverse.
Yeah, and we want to thank whoever is listening to the real Valor, the 3 of us.
Yeah.
Straight
from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, no matter where you're listening or watching from, we want to thank you for doing so and encourage you to keep liking and subscribing. We're engaging with all the comments as much as we can whenever they pop up. So yeah, hell yeah, let's keep it going.
Smash.
You can give the podcast direct financial support if you want on our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/Deep Fried Anything Podcast. For just $5 a month, you'll get exclusive access to some bonus episodes, which we are planning on doing at the end of each series, as well as some other content and a deep fried coffee mug once you've been a subscriber for 6 episodes, which we're having Thany get some coffee mugs designed for everybody and stuff. You can follow us.
Are we in production?
Not yet, because we haven't hit episode 6 yet. So for everybody that's still giving the monthly support, we really honestly appreciate it. You can follow us on Instagram at Deep Fried Anything Podcast.
It'll feature our logo, which does not look like a swastika.
It's true.
Not remotely.
Not
yet.
even remote.
Except when you put a hot beverage in it and then it just burns. What the hell?
Oh, gosh. You can follow us on TikTok. We're at Deep Fried Anything Podcast there as well. We got to see Eric perform the other night with his new album, Sky King, which you should all listen to. It was a great little performance that we got to see Eric do on Thursday. He's also currently the 107.7 The End Alternative Locals Only Artist of the Month.
That is true. And that's something that you once were, which is how you know how to say all that.
Yes, true. It's the one thing I can say I hooked Eric up with.
You really did. I appreciate it. Hey, I'm going on tour with Alessandro Rose's new band, Aro, at the end of May through early June.
There you go.
I'm doing a little club tour.
There'll probably be some dates on your Instagram, I assume?
Oh, you know it.
Yeah, so follow at Eric_HOWK, Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can follow our good pal Thany on Instagram at FatCrappySad.
I choose to retain my anonymity.
All good. All good.
You don't respect it till it's gone.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I respect it.
Just wait till you have all that attention. You'll reject it immediately. I just released my debut full-length album with Reeled On Music, Pet Care. It's streaming worldwide. You can listen to that too.
Hell yeah.
You can buy the digital record exclusively on Bandcamp. Follow me, Reeled On Music, on all the socials at Reeled On, D-O-N, Music. Thanks to our sponsors, Cookies Country Chicken.
That's good chicken.
Yeah, they're just the best. And of course, thanks to Riley Poor and Weirdest Apparel. That's weirdest.shop for all the cool merch there that goes to supporting Riley and all of his cool causes.
Hell yeah, Riley.
Weirdest.shop. And then lastly, last episode we wrapped on Thany not realizing that this is a music podcast, which I guess I didn't really I was just so excited to bring you out here from Hawaii and talk to you on a regular basis that I never actually explained that this is a music true crime podcast.
Music true crime.
Yeah. So mayhem in the musical world is what we're trying to do.
Where
here.
music and crime collide.
For sure. I honestly wanted to call this podcast Freaks of the Industry, the Digital Underground song, but there's already a podcast called that, and it's about porn stars who used to work in the adult industry.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
bummer.
There's a lot of crossover there, though.
But if I had known better and had been talking to you about what this podcast was about before you got up here, you came up with the greatest title for a podcast, and we're never going to use it because we already have this branding going on. But I'm going to just say it from now on. It's been really fun playing microphones with you guys. And we're going to continue to keep playing microphones for as long as, there's some fun stories to talk about.
Hell yeah, throat it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Wrote it.
Throat it, boys. So yeah, don't believe in God, don't believe in me, and we will see you next time for episode 5 of the Deep Fried Anything podcast on Lou Pearlman and the golden era of boy bands. See you then.
Bye, everybody. Bye.